Welcome to the third edition of CreativeMornings here in Trondheim. This month's theme is game. It was illustrated by Jeffrey Phillips and chosen by the Leach chapter in Belgium. So we're going to start off, as we did started last time, with reading the manifesto. So give her a big round of applause.
So thank you so much, Catherine, for inviting me back. I also read a Creative Manifesto last time, so it's a pleasure to have the opportunity again. Well, I'm a musician, and I'm truly inspired by spring. And I love the first sentence. It's like, everyone is creative. A creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections, in learning from others, in hugs and high fives. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods and cities around the world. And everyone is welcome.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. Our first official partner is MailChimp, official partner for communications. We send around 100 million emails, and we thank them for their support. WordPress.com powers over 30% of the internet, and they are our global partner for web publishing, and morning people can get 15% off if you head to wordpress.com/CreativeMornings for all packages. And of course Adobe, they give us creatives all around the world the tools we need, and every chapter has a free Creative Cloud account, which makes us able to create the stuff we love. So, it's party time. But first we're gonna welcome Rinsa from Able Magic. She's gonna talk about how to design a game without a game. Welcome.
Hi, and good morning. I'm a game developer, animator, and game designer at Able Magic. So I just want to start off with talking about what are game designers actually. Because maybe you think that there are these creative people that got all these ideas about how to make a game, concept-wise and story. But for me, my core skill within game design is not when we're brainstorming at the beginning, because then I'm sitting there with the thought process that, like, how could I put this together into a game system with all the logics that needs to come together, and flow, and maybe possible deadlines. So my creative process come later. You could say that I act as a bridge between artwork, concept, and the backend and the game system. Because I put them together, implement it, and execute it. And then coordinating and structuring the development is, for me, was what I consider my creative skill. So this is my team. We're currently 8 people. Sometimes we got students that work on projects part-time. We at Able Magic have this idea that all of us are game designers somehow, and all of us have a voice, because we always strive for that collective gut feeling, if you know what I mean. Because if you lose one voice, you kind of like lose all the layers in the concept and diversity. And all of us are gamers at certain levels and interests. Some of us like maybe more are casual gamers and like puzzle games, and some are considered hardcore gamers, or maybe both. These are some of the apps is from App Store that we made the last few years, with kids as a major target group. But we wanted a new distribution channel where we could reach the kids directly, or the target directly. So we started looking for a new channel, which is the public sphere. So these last couple of years challenged both me and my team as game designers. Sorry. Oh yeah. And that's why we created this sub-brand. That's called Munte Magic. So I'm going to show you a short movie that will show you the core of Munte Magic, which is to create digital activities for kids and families. Munte Magic. Able know at Munte Magic challenge ourselves as game designers to create a good gameplay without creating a regular game, if that makes any sense. So based on our experience, observations, and research, we came up with 5 main principles that will guide us during the creative process. So the first one is one touch, one experience. It kind of like says it all. But what we mean is that when, for example, you're at the airport or the mall, you don't know how much time the visitors have at their disposal. Some are late for flights, got a lot of time, or some are just there at the last minute. So it's important for us that we don't want it to be a nagging experience for the parents nor the kids. We don't want the kids to say that, oh, I just have to finish this game first before we leave. Two, you can never go wrong. By that we mean that you don't have to solve a puzzle or achieve anything in order to enjoy the activity or the experience. And you should get it instantly, without any introduction or tutorials, and you can leave it whenever you want without feeling incomplete. The never-ending experience. By that we mean because you don't have any tutorials, you don't have leveling ups, you don't have a goal. We don't even have a beginning, a middle, or nor an ending. So you can almost say that it's contra-intuitive for a game designer. And because we can't design a game for a player that they have anything to complete or even compete or achieve. Analog and digital. Inspired by multiple projects from Japan, where they use digital tools for art exhibitions for kids and adults. We made solutions that combine both digital and analog tools. And this has shown us that creating a game for the public room requires the game to take considerations of the room more than it will be on a personal screen. But also this opens potential to actually use the environment as an asset for the game experience. We find that the best way to engage kids is making them feel that they are either making something or building something based on our experience. So I'm going to show you a movie from our latest project for Nidarosdomen Cathedral. We created a coloring experience for kids where the actual artwork comes to life on the stone, on the church wall. So number 5, the social screen. For us, the screen is just the part of the experience, and it's not just you and the screen in this private setting, because we want the kids to lift their heads up and look around and enjoy the experience or the activities or the results together. And what we believe is that the screen is only a tool that makes it possible to make room for sharing, experiencing, and participating together. So we are not making stuff for the screen, actually. We just use it as a platform to create experiences. So in some way, you could say that we are on the verge to creating something new, or a new genre. So is it a new genre? We think that by combining storytelling and what we know about the kids and design, we're making something that we consider as new. Where the content needs to be simplified and stripped away from every unnecessary elements and distractions. Where the games needs to adapt to its environment or use it as an asset. So what we think is that we are not making games for the regular player, but the experience is what that makes people want to play it. That's it.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Then we're ready for our main speaker, Budde Christensen.
Okay, so I'm here today to talk to you about my recent trip to North Korea. I did this with my brother. We went last autumn. And you may ask yourself, why would I do this? Why would I go to a country ruled by an evil dictator, where people get imprisoned for the minus offense, where tourists are being held up and eventually maybe die? And our parents definitely asked us that question as well. And the answer is we want to make our own impression of this country. We want to make our own opinion about the country. We were tired of this narrative that we saw in the media. We were tired about hearing about rumors. And yes, we just want to make our own impression. We knew that this would probably be a tour guided by the government and orchestrated by the government. But still, by going there, seeing the stuff for ourselves, we were sure that we would get our own impression of this. So we started the preparation for this trip around December 2016. We did this by reading up on the country. We tried reading all the books we could get our hands on, watched a lot of documentaries, movies, read articles from the news, and the general consensus seemed to be that we really didn't know that much about this country. Everything we got to know was from people who escaped the country, and all in all, it seems like a country driven by an omnipresent government with a massive propaganda machine and a distributed network of people telling on each other, really making this a terrible country. Okay, so just to give you a bit of context about the time when we are leaving there, so this is the graph. This is a graph of people searching for North Korea on Google. So the search trends on North Korea from Google. This is what people were searching on within the last year. Not really that reassuring. And this is when we decided to go there. So you see, we really chose probably the worst time to go there, and we were constantly reminded not to go. Our parents said we shouldn't go, our colleagues, our girlfriends, everybody said we shouldn't go, but we went. Okay. So apparently going to North Korea really isn't that hard. There are numerous travel agencies who want to take there. So actually the hardest part was to get into China. So once we had our Chinese visa, our travel agency would take care of the rest. They would pick up our North Korean visa and just arrange the whole trip for us. So we would enter North Korea up here, northeastern part, from the border to China. And and going from China, which is a technologically developed country where people are using, always connected to the internet, on their smartphones, doing mobile payments, in some senses more advanced than we are really, and then going to a country which has been shut off from the rest of the world since before the creation of the internet, that was extreme. That was an extreme contrast, as extreme as it can get actually. So the first part of our trip was a 6-day bus ride down through the northeastern part of North Korea, and this was a unique experience for us because we were going to see something else than the big city and Pyongyang and what most people are actually seeing in North Korea. This was allowed by the government, of course, and it was with the local travel agency. And this was allowed because they wanted to show how far North Korea has come. They want to show the average farmer. They want to show us the national parks and the splendor of North Korea, really. And so this is one of the better roads there. All throughout this part of the country, we were driving on dirt roads. And while the government really wanted us to show us how good they were doing, the reality was that they couldn't really hide how bad they were doing. You know, this is a road. This is on edge, of course. But we saw stuff like this. They couldn't really hide the poverty of this country. They couldn't hide how poor the people were. They couldn't hide the fact that they had to take out the military and the local population out into the fields and make them harvest these grand communal fields by hand. And they couldn't hide how, after they had harvested the field, old ladies who were supposed to be pensioned walked out into the fields, picked up rice corns, took them back home, sold them on the grey market, and essentially became the prime income for this family. So I'm a software developer, and basically my whole life revolves around technology. So I was actually quite surprised to see that while North Korea has been shut off from the rest of the world, basically, they did have some technological infrastructure in place. While there, we were introduced to these libraries with computers running Windows XP, libraries which supposedly was open to the public, but and should encourage, should drive North Korea into the information age and really ensure public education, public connectivity, the sharing of the news, all that really. Of course, these computers lack the defining element of the information age, namely that they weren't connected to the internet at all. So, I mean, this more or less seemed like a prestige project from the government, and it's also probably because also why it was part of our tour, just to show to us and to the rest of the world, yes, we are upbeat, yes, we can do tech, yes, we are a modern country, right? So, from the northeastern part of North Korea, we took a plane down to Pyongyang, and this, I must say, was the most terrifying experience of my life. I really cannot recommend this. Go for Norwegian, go for Lufthansa, go for anyone else. Don't go for Air Koryo. That's if you have a choice, please don't. No. So, flying up here from northeastern part down to Pyongyang, 2 or 3 hours flight or something like that. Going from the northeastern part into Pyongyang is best described by my brother as going in Hunger Games. You've seen that? Read that? Going from the districts and into the capital. It's really the same thing. Really, the difference from the northeastern part and the capital, it's staggering. It's so crazy. And also, just a note here, while we stayed, our trip was, of course, allowed by the government and everything. And as you can see, we visited this part and more or less this part of North Korea. But then you still have, of course, all this of North Korea that we weren't allowed into and that many tourists have never seen at all. Okay, so arriving at Pyongyang, this is me. We stayed at this luxurious hotel. There was a hotel with bowling alleys, with karaoke bars, with actual bars, and many of them actually. This hotel was so luxurious that even by our standards, it was a very, very nice hotel, very nice. And the city itself was amazing. It was, compared to the northeast, you actually had paved roads, and it was all clean, and it was very obvious that this city was made to impress, and it was really a prestige project in that this is where the rich are living, this is where the elite are living, and this is of course also where the foreign diplomats and foreigners are going to visit, most of them. So they put out all these buildings and projects showing that we have a science center, we invest in science, we invest in this, we invest in that, we are upbeat, we are a modern country. And it was impressive. In the capital, we saw the same thing with the library computers, right? More or less the same deal. So this was, of course, the framing or the location is better or is finer, and there are more computers, and they are perhaps a bit newer. And people were actually using it. So this might be because, in Pyongyang, people actually have time to go to visit the local community center, go to the library. They don't have to go out, rely on picking rice in the field to survive. Yeah. But then again, this is the same setup. This is a prestige project. And you can argue how effective it really is and how interesting it is. So, what I did find very interesting was this. So all over Pyongyang, you will see people going around with smartphones. So these smartphones were locally built, or it was said to be locally built. Most likely they were from China. A lot of people had them. They weren't really part of our tour. They weren't promoted to us. I didn't see them, but they weren't really. The advertisement were for aimed at the local people, and they and they were widespread. The presence seemed driven more by demand than by a top-down controlled project, right? Just like libraries, and compared, not like libraries. And compared to the libraries, these were fundamentally different in that they were personal devices. So this is the Ariane 151. So this is an example of one of these phones. They have multiple phones there, multiple companies doing doing their own brands, and this phone runs on Android 4. Of course, a heavily modified version of Android 4. It's tightly locked down what you can actually do with it, what you can share with it, but it seems like any Western smartphone, more or less. It has Bluetooth, it has not Wi-Fi, there's no Wi-Fi in North Korea, I found out. They have the connectivity, they have a camera, they have all that. And, you know, so I am, of course, extremely interested in technology, as I said, and I knew when I saw this that I needed this in my life. So I got ahead and acquired one. So this is that phone. This is a second-hand smartphone. So this was owned by a local North Korean guy, and it seems like a very modern smartphone, really. So this being a second-hand smartphone, this actually provides us a very unique insight into how the people are using these consumer electronics, how they're using it in their everyday life. Because compared to the libraries we saw before, these devices are on them all the time, just as your phones are, and they're using it daily. And I didn't mention it before, but you can actually get apps to these phones. So they have some degree of customizability compared to when you buy it. So you can go to an app store, a physical app store, install your apps on your devices. Yes, and then you go. Okay. So when I got this phone, I really didn't know what to expect. I've seen a lot of people using them, but you know, what's on them? What are you using them for? Well, I imagine maybe they're using them for like text messaging, phone calls, maybe some intranet browsing, you know, intranet. But what I found out was this. So, as you may see, a lot of these apps are games, like a lot. So here you have 5 different versions of Angry Birds. Need that. You have Cut the Rope, Plants vs. Zombies, even a Mario up there, Tetris, the classics, everything. I was surprised. Now, comparing this to our world, the Western world, comparing this to the statistics of the Apple App Store from January 2018, where they have organized these apps in categories, all of them by popularity, we see the same image. Games are extremely popular, as you all know, and you probably have games on your phones, and as long as there have been mobile devices in our Western world, there have been mobile games, right? It's the same image, actually. And so you game developers out there, when North Korea opens up, and it will, that's an emerging market. Get in on that, really. On my last slide, I'm going to show you this picture of the Arch of Reunification. This is a grand monument just outside of Pyongyang. And while the governments in North and South Korea or the US or China, while they may not in practice be that keen on reunification, my impression from my visit there, talking to the locals, was that the local people are keen on reunification with the world. These people are generally, I had numerous discussions with them about everything from dating to politics, and they seem extremely interested in how our world are doing, and information gets in, and inspiration gets in, and apps gets in, and games gets in, stuff gets in, and they are interested in reaching out to us. And my opinion is, and take it for what it's worth, my opinion is that we don't break down regimes, we don't break down barriers by sanctioning these countries or by starving out people and all that, which has been the international politics for many years. We do this by dialogue and by opening up, encouraging trade, making them richer and us richer. And that is my key takeaway to you.
It's Q&A time. Anyone have any questions?
Hey, there was a browser on the phone there.
Yes.
Was that the internet browser?
Yes.
So are you basically searching in your own files? Or what are you doing
the
there?
internet in the country. So these phones have access to the GSM network, which are throughout the country, so they can browse the internet just as the other computers can do. So it's just like internet, but confined to North Korea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there like the signal from the phone is just reduced to the North Korea, so it's like no roaming. You cannot get connection with the other countries, and other countries like I bet it could be like changed.
Well, I guess good question. So I guess that if you have I guess that some North Korean hires probably could get connections to abroad, because that's all into the network. What I can tell you is that when I try to plug in a SIM card in this phone, it's shut off.
Yeah.
So it don't work with my SIM card, but I guess if you have a North Korean SIM card, it might work.
Yeah, but I'm asking more about connection outside the country, because when I read the one book about North Korea, they was shown like how they smuggle basically the phones from China, so people are basically able to communicate the family who run away from the country.
Okay.
That's my question, if it's possible.
Okay,
You know
yeah.
about
So
it,
so I brought my phone to the country, used it for taking pictures throughout, and while there were no connection in the main part of the country, there were connection in the border areas. So I reckon that that's what they're referring to, that you can stand on the Chinese border and then you can probably reach a Chinese network and then you can communicate out to
Okay,
that
so
channel.
you can do that.
That would make sense, yeah. But I couldn't connect to the local network, and I guess you have to be local to do that.
Yeah, because I guess maybe it's like with the roaming that you have no roaming, so you can.
Oh, no, you have no roaming. The roaming agreements are not that great. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About all these games that you showed us, is there developers culture or business, or they just import games from in some ways from abroad? I mean.
Yeah. So most of these games were definitely imported, the ones I know of.
Yeah.
I'm really not that good in Korean, so I'm having a hard time deciding which are local and which are not. But there are definitely some software development going on in North Korea. Maybe it's probably more aimed at hacking right now, but you know, they are building up a skill set for software development. And so in the future, I imagine they could actually start developing their own apps, and not only games, which I was thinking was very, very interesting. You know, as soon as you give people the tools to do programming and the devices and the technological infrastructure, I mean, it's out of your hands really. You can't stop that evolution, I think.
One more question about this phone as well. Like, do you know when you spoke about it, about owning the phone and stuff like this, how does it look to the person on the like usual level of living in the capital when they can afford actually the phone? Or do you think maybe it's like more staged that, you know, people around you having the phones, because basically people who live out of the city, they will not use a phone and stuff like this because they cannot afford it?
Very good question. And I don't think it's staged that people use this phone. I think people were actually using them because I'm really not that important. I want to stage that around me. And also, but that's good. That's good point.
Are not important, but you as a person who brings out some kind of PR, you are a PR tool for the government. You're bringing the pictures and you're talking about North Korea. How you experience that? So that's how the government wants you to see that, because you're not allowed to go and see whatever you want. You see what the government wants to see you. So basically, you are not important like whatever you like is here for them, but you are important as a tool which brings
I understand. I get your point. So these phones are not affordable. Are not anything that the average farmer that we saw in the beginning, is not something that they can buy. Definitely not. You have to have access to foreign currency, and that's also why the government were very were allowing us to come there, because we bring foreign currency to the country, right? But the phones weren't meant for us. I'm fairly certain of that.
No, I'm not
But I get your point. So these were meant for the elite of North Korea, for the riches of North Korea, for the people in Pyongyang, people having access to foreign currency. But my argument is that when you start building a whole infrastructure in the country, and you start opening up for foreign devices, allowing in Android, whatever, then, I mean, that's just the first step. Then you have the infrastructure in place, then you can spread it as people might get richer.
Since you wrote the article, have you gotten any response from North Korean people?
No. They haven't reached out at all. No, I haven't had anything.
Can you just describe the experience of being in a major city that is not obsessed with mobile technology like 95% of the Western world? No Pokemon, no text message, no messenger. I'd imagine that that's very different. How did you find it? Like people actually speaking and interacting and not sat at a desk or a table in a bar or a cafe, messaging each other.
Yeah. So, well, I can tell you how I experienced it without being without internet for 10 days, and that was I started to get abstinences. Right, I had a cached Google search on my phone, and so I would open the browser at night, just going through the search results, just like, oh yeah, that's interesting. So I felt bad. You know, that was hard for me about how they are acting with each other, how they're actually talking. So I don't know if it's that much different. Of course, it's harder to communicate, but I have an example. So I was talking to this girl about how dating is going on in North Korea, and she said that because they don't have Tinder, they don't have anything like that, the way they would do it was they would get their parents to go out, find other parents, and then propose people. Then they would go on a date, so they had the matchmaking parents, and then they would see if the guy was good, and then if they liked him, yeah, sure, but if they didn't, find me another one. So they will get by, you know.
Tourists in North Korea, are you actually allowed to purchase a phone and bring it back to your home?
So it was not part of our tour to go to a store that could let us purchase this, and I asked about if it was strictly legal, and I was told that it was a gray area. So I would imagine that it's really not allowed, and it would be confiscated. Was it found?
Where did you hide it?
I'd rather not say.
We always speak about how their culture can learn from us, but can we switch that around? Do you think there's something we can learn from them?
Definitely, yeah. I met tons of inspiring people there, and I think we should learn everything we can about these guys. This is a culture that's been totally isolated from us. So of course they have reached some other ideas about stuff, and we should learn from that. I don't have a concrete example of you right now, but sure, it goes both ways. Opening up, communicating with those guys, that will be a bilateral learning. Yeah, definitely.
We have to wrap things up. Thank you so much. Okay, so moving on. 30-second pitches. First up is Matthias.
Good morning, guys. I'm Matthias from Incleo. I'm in charge of the digital marketing at Incleo. Are you into technology, digitization, and everything what's going on online? Well, then I have a perfect solution for you. I think you should join us on our monthly event, which is once a month, and it's for free, and you can bring whoever you want. You can bring your mom, your father, or your cat. And we even got free beer, so please come. On the 25th of May, we have our next event. It will be about how you can rank high in Google. It will be with me and my SEO nerd colleague, Arno, in the back. So save the date, 25th of May. Thank you.
Next up is Trondheim camping. Oh yeah! Finally in Trondheim!
Beer, toast, drinks, mini golf. We're a place where you can bring your children to celebrate their birthday. We're a place where you can bring your friends and workmates to discuss anything and have a nice drink. We're a place where you can take your grandmother, get drunk, have fun. Visit.
Yay! Next up, Erik.
Hey.
Yes.
Hello. This beautiful girl once told me that it's not about the size. It's about passion, it's about experiences, it's about what other qualities you have to offer, and most of all, how it makes you feel inside. She was of course talking about a festival, Heim Festival. On the last weekend of July, we were setting up something we call bingo boats that goes all the way from Trondheim to the small farm called Brevika in Hasselvika. 3 days of fun where you can learn how to milk a cow, learn how to sail, or how to grow vegetables. You can go clubbing inside mountain caves, and of course we'll go relax on the fields next to butterflies and flowers and friends, listening to the awesome music program we have to offer. Thank you.
And we actually have quite a surprise for you today because we are in July, we're packing our backpacks and heading over to Heim Festival. So CreativeMornings July will actually be at the Heim Festival. So I'm gonna show you what it's all about.
En kort båttur utenfor Trondheim ligger småbruket Brevika. Her skal det være festival i sommer. Festivalen Heim. For godt over 1000 år siden seglet vikingene i fjorden her. Vi har en hurtigbåt som går flere ganger om dagen fra Trondheim til Hysnes. Skogen består for det meste av bjørk og furu og et rikt dyreliv. 50 meter lang. Vi har en fjellhall. Det her Hysnes-tåa. Berømt for å se ut som ei tå. Det her Hasselvika. Kom på festivalen Heim.
Hallo? Heim? Ja, her ligger
You're going to hear about it twice more at the last upcoming events. Give you some more and more information. Thank you to our local sponsors. Of course, Jakobsen and Svart, coming here and bringing us the best coffee in town every time. Blink, all the chapter flair, and of course, Work for giving us the venue. Thank you so much. Next event is Friday, 25th of May, and the theme is going to be commitment. So stay tuned for updates, and thank you so much for coming.